Here we are a week later. Last week, remember how I stacked everything up on this massive, now one tower, one super hive? I'm gonna see if it worked. I wanted to make sure that the bees haven't killed their queen, but if they did, no biggie, because I did order 3 new queen bees, which just arrived in the mail this morning. These are a Saskatraz variety, so they're kind of a cool sub-breed. If you didn't know that there are other breeds of honeybees, that's one that's supposed to be a little bit more friendly and productive and a little more resistant to disease. But I hope to split this up now into 3 hives and get 1 box in here with a frame of bees, keep a bunch for there, and start something up in that last one over there. So I have a lot of frames to look at and a lot of noise now. Neighboring has a landscaper coming over. They're going to be mowing the lawn, so it's going to be very noisy. And the dog behind me is barking, so a lot of background things. But one cool thing that I'm seeing is in this hive, there's still newspaper on the bottom, but they had chewed their way through on the end there to get to the lower one. I'm seeing some of those laying worker eggs that had developed into drone cells. You see how they're puffier? These are developing drone bees. They're sticking out a lot more than the regular ones. But I also see that there's a lot of these eggs that were laid before that look like they're just shriveled up, and I think they got killed, which is kind of nice. I don't want a bunch of drone bees. So this is a good sign that there's probably a stopping of the laying of the eggs by that laying queen. We'll see. Now I've moved into the other one that I moved over to the fossil box, and it too looks a little more curious as to what's going on in here, but I think it's all a good sign. They did chew their way through, and so they got to go into the main hive as well. I did see some developing larvae still, so I think there were some eggs laid that were from the laying worker, but at the same time there's a bunch of dead larvae here, so I think that these guys are on their way out, and may not be anything new going on. That maybe the queen, because there's some baby larvae that are not capped up like these drones, that means they're less than 6 days old. That means it was laid since I last checked the hive, but I'm thinking that things may be slowing down there as well. So now I'm going to move over into the main box and see what's going on there. That's going to be the interesting part. Okay, I've popped open Ocean View, and a lot of activity here. I'm really just getting started because I have the 2 boxes, but this is where it's clutch for me to have good things happening, because if I'm going to split a hive, I need frames of eggs to work with, or because the eggs are the ones that are going to be tended to by young bees that haven't left the hive yet, the nurse bees. And what I'm seeing here, I've just started, I haven't spotted the queen, but I am seeing in this frame fresh eggs that are nicely organized, 1 per cell, the way it should be. That's basically how a healthy queen lays them. There's only a few on this side, but there's a lot more on this side. And so that is a sign that we are getting, the queen is still alive and active in there somewhere. Plus, now I can actually move some of these bees over, and I don't have to worry about them abandoning the hive because they haven't oriented themselves yet. They're not going to think that this place is the new one. This is going to be the one that they're going to think is the new hive. I also have the added bonus that the next 2 days are going to be stormy weather, so they're actually, even if I get some older bees in there, they're going to hunker down, and even if there's some confusion, they're going to be able to get reoriented, because for Friday and Saturday, there's not much likelihood they're going to be leaving the hive. And so I'm going to show you how I put the queen bees in there, but I just put that 1 frame in there, and I'm going to keep looking, see if I can get 2 frames of eggs at least for each of these new ones, and yet keep enough to keep this original thing going. Okay, very nice. This here hive not only has, this here frame not only has eggs on it, but if I could get a good camera angle, there are some developing larvae on some of these guys. This is all eggs on this side. Let me flip this around. See what we got. If I could get a good light angle on them. But if we look into these things, and the larvae look like little, well, initially little comma-shaped grubs, and I don't know. There's so many bees on this. Can't really make them out anymore, but there they are. There's a few in there. And so that is a really nice thing, because that means they've been growing for a few days. Definitely nurse bees on this one. There's a pretty good amount. So this one's going to go over, and then I will show you how I add the queen. Now in the bottom hive, there's definitely a lot of brood going on, and really nice thing, I mean, this is all what they call capped brood. You see how they're not bulging? Those not bulging cells are developing pupae of worker bees. And I also lucked out, or it looks like in this big pile of mess of bees is probably the queen. Let me bump things a little bit. Do a gentle little check here. Kind of use my finger to move them around. Is that her? Kind of looks like it. Yeah, that's her butt. Alright. So I moved around. There she is. So with the blue dot, now I got bees all over my fingers. This is going to be creepy. So there she is. Yeah, that is for this hive. Her name's Justine Bieber. In this hive, every queen's always going to be named Justine Bieber. So I'm going to keep her in here. That's good to know. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something different for her. Because she's a good queen, I'm going to try to catch her and get her in a box to donate to someone else and start over with a new one. So since she's healthy, I want her to keep going. So, but that's good. I found her, and that means I can actually collect her, put in a new queen, and go from there. Well, fate of all fates, I actually think that after I finished filming the queen bee, and as I was holding onto the frame, putting the camera down, she disappeared. I was looking around for her for a good 10 minutes on the same frame. Nowhere to be found. Blue dot, pretty an obvious thing. So I think Justine Bieber just flew off, which would be catastrophic if I didn't have a replacement bee, but I still do have the new one that I'm going to put in there. And if I missed her, well, I guess we'll just have the best queen win then, because they will kill one and accept the other. So that's just how we're going to do it this time around. Very bizarre, but I literally cannot find her. I've never had that happen before with an established laying queen. They're usually too fat to fly. So we'll see, but I'll show you what's going on with adding the queens. So here we have the queen cage that I got in the mail. It's the little brown box. I had ordered these new cool things called queen cage holders that somebody in Illinois makes, and used to just rubber band this bad boy to the box, because you have to leave them in there for about 3 days for them to get used to the new scent and not reject her. But and there's a few attendant bees which are effectively used for shipping to feed her while she's gone. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially just lay this in here. Instead of rubber banding it to her, we're going to merely hang it onto the cage. So I'm going to move this thing over a little bit. Here, you hang out over there. You certainly don't know who you are right now, so things are pretty bad. But I want to just make sure I have the right frame. Yeah, so you want a frame that has brood on it. And that tends to be a little bit more accepting on there, and this one is well hooked up. And so what we're going to do is I'm merely going to put that frame in here, hang it. So the next Justine Bieber simply sits in that cage for a few days. We want to be a little more towards the middle of the cage, the box, so that they're not exposed to cold temperatures. And usually these boxes have 10 frames per box, at least this type of box, but I'm gonna reduce it to 9 so that we've got a little breathing space. So the funny part is the old bees are gonna hate her guts. They're gonna be wanting to kill her, but nonetheless there's something about their instincts that they still feed them while they hate their guts. But then on the weekend, in between thunderstorms, I will release them carefully and then hopefully have ourselves a good situation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I need a 9th frame, so let me put in one more just to be safe. This is a nice little frame with some of the drone brood, but oh well, I'll leave it be. And I've got plenty of food on these, and so that's how I'm going to work with it. So over there we've got Justine Bieber. Then here is the next queen. You are going to go over to Brick House, which I have now organized to make sure that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 9 frames. And I did get some brood out of them as well. Pick you up, just make sure we got, yep, that's where the brood is. So here we go. Put you back. Hang you nice and snug again. Oh gosh, I squashed a bee. Sorry. Well, that one's dead. All right. Your name is BB8. And then in the third hive, with our last queen, here we are. Get you in with some brood. Just make sure I've got a brood frame here, not a something else. I don't see brood on that one, so we're gonna move that guy over a little bit. I know I put some brood in here somewhere, but nope. Well, in any sense, I'm just going to transfer something if I failed to get some brood in here. But this one's name is going to be Frederica Mercury. Yeah, so Frederica is going to take over on this one. We'll be in good shape then, and then I'm gonna close these off. One important thing is I'm going to be putting entrance reducers. You see this little slot that I put in front of the hive? It used to be completely wide open, but because these are weaker, new, stressed out hives, I don't want neighboring bees to come in and start robbing it to pieces. So that's just going to be an extra safeguard that they can guard it better and take care of them. And then I'll check on them on the weekend to see how the release would go. There's the finished product. Never found the little queen with the blue dot that took off on me. Again, it'll be just, if she happens to fly back into the hive, then best queen win. But there was something really weird that just happened. I finished closing everything off, and then after I reduced the boxes down here just to one box again, when they're new, I want to just keep things simple on there. I saw on the top of this hive, after I put the lid on there, there a small cluster of bees, and the weirdest thing is there was actually a queen bee different than the one that got away, because she didn't have her blue dot. It wasn't obviously one of the ones I just put in because they were caged up, and the bees were feeding her. I obviously had done some kind of misinterpretation of the brood somewhere in the past, so that's always humbling. And so what I did was I just scooped her up in a queen cage with some of these attendants, and look at that, there's another bee just already smelling her pheromones and wanting to get to her. But she's already bred. She's fat. She's accepted by these other bees. So I'm going to see if I could find somebody in the beekeeping world who can use her. Because this is just really, really weird. Look at that. You want to see how pheromones work? Unbelievable. I'm just standing here and they're just flying right to her. That's how sensitive to smells they are. So anyways, I'm going to shoo these bees off. But yeah, someone's going to have a free queen bee that I have no idea where she came from. All right, I am over and out before my whole hand gets swarmed with new bees here.